Welcome to the Newsies show, ladies and gentlemen. I saw Billy wear the hat, and I said, "Ooh, I have to put mine on too." So we look like we're either cab drivers, which you look more like a cab driver because you're brown.
It's News Boy. I didn't say Newsy. That was your thing.
It's a Newsy hat. By the way, this is the Dirty Sheets you are listening to and watching. We are going to talk about the Elimination Chamber. That's going to be like what this show is labeled, but we're going to be talking about a lot more shit. And people that are annoying to us, we're going to be playing some audio of some shit that we have to reply to, get into a little sap stuff, a couple issues there. So let's get into it, Billy. I'm, by the way, Cav Manning. I am from the Lingus Mafia podcast as well as the Wrestle Lingus Show. You could just type in that. You'll find me. That guy over there, he is Billy Body, and he is from Lock Betting X and lockbetting.com, where you can get your betting packages, because that's where the money is made, not off of wrestling. Also, he gets all the inside info about wrestling, and we do shows. We put them out. You could look for it on Apple. You could even go to dirtysheets.com, look for it over there if you have Android and you want to get the full shows. Otherwise, little previews out there. You could type in Dirty Sheets. You'll be able to find it fine. Billy Boy, we're on the road to WrestleMania, and I think it's a good idea that they do Elimination Chamber before Mania. And I really enjoy that they have finally got it right and not had a pay-per-view the month before it. Leave a month. I don't think there should be pay-per-view from Rumble until Mania. Let it breathe. You get a good build-up. Don't overflow us on anything. God forbid they do that. So, I'm willing to take what they can give us. And that is, one pay-per-view. And Elimination Chamber is it used to be bigger, I think, when there was no mats in there and, people would really damage their bodies, which I appreciated more.
Yeah, I think when you've got so many world titles, you need the Elimination Chambers. But for me, one world title will be fine. And a Saturday night's main event just 4 weeks before WrestleMania. That's how I prefer it to be done.
There you go. You get a little bit of that. You got to have the buildup. You have to have it roaring up to it. And the problem is now there's a show every week. So it is not as special when you used to rub your hands together and you would get a Saturday night main event and be like, oh, shit, there's a show on tonight. Now you're like, oh, shit, there's a show on tonight. So it's a very different thing when these shows come on. It's just, and I think about it, I go, my God, I watch a lot of fucking hours of wrestling between this AEW, because I got to watch all these things, do a show.
Did you notice that Raw was just 5 long matches this week?
You know what? I never realized how many matches there are. I know their new deal is the ding, 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 one more match to go. And I saw the other week, it said that, and there was 45 minutes left. And that was on Friday. And I was like, 45. And then I go, oh, yeah, well, the Rock thing is coming on. And I'm like, I wonder how long this is going to fucking be, because what the fuck is this match going to be? So I kind of do enjoy more so watching the shows for a storyline and people talking more than having a meaningless match, because they are mostly meaningless until it's pay-per-view time. There's not going to be a big deal about it. So I prefer the less matches, and I prefer more of moving a storyline around by talking. I know some people are like, just get to the match. And I'm like, the match for me is for pay-per-view. If I want to watch a good match, I'm watching it on fucking pay-per-view. It's not going to be with picture-in-picture and a commercial in between.
No, I have no interest in any of the matches up until we get to that final ad break. And this week was a lot of 2 ad breaks. And then they went home with it. And I appreciate the talent, and I appreciate the level of chemistry, execution, selling, all that stuff. I can see it, but when it's the same thing every week. If I oversee it, it doesn't work anymore. If everybody's out there doing Savage Steamboat for 3 hours, there's no point. So it's for that reason, matches like that can't hold up. Because you can watch any episode of Raw and it has the same number of, most of the matches will have the same number of close 3 counts as that one, which is what that match was known for. That match at the time was known for 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. how many times they nearly beat each other. It was only a 10-minute match as well, which is what people don't understand as well. But yeah, I'm all for the storylines as well. Like I said this on various videos when I was talking about being more aligned with the Russo way of booking and writing and whatnot. Although, you know, some of the Triple H stuff's good in where he's built up to a crescendo. Like, I think that's been one of the key differences where WWE has blown AEW away in the last 2 years. Not that they were ever that close, but I think as close as they would have been was at the pandemic, where you could have said, well, this is a clean slate. Like, this is a fresh start. Nobody's got fans. Like, AEW's fans are more hardcore and loyal, and WWE are losing fans every single week. They were losing like 100,000 people a week at one point. So when WWE were down to 1.5 and AEW were just under 1 million, and nobody had fans coming to the show, and nobody knew how scared people were going to be of COVID, that was the chance where it was really a chance to make it 50-50. But since then, WWE have told better stories, built better characters, and, you know, they build you up for the big come shot. That's what they do. Like, everything, every storyline, every major storyline in WWE is paid off with a money shot, like, to the face. Like, that's what they did with Sammy going in, leaving the bloodline, the Usos leaving the bloodline, Owens coming back to save Sammy. All of these peaks have been, and these peaks and payoffs have been what has differentiated WWE and AEW, because AEW seem to fumble and bumble their story. When you look at the execution of the Devil and you compare it to everything the Bloodline have done, it's just chalk and cheese, and that's been the difference. Like, being able to pay off stories. So as we get to the Chamber, as we were saying, like, neither of us want the pay-per-view, and we're glad that we're not at 2 pay-per-views, because that's what they used to do. They used to do Elimination Chamber and Roadblock. The Roadblock to
Fastlane.
Yeah, the fast lane to Mania, the Roadblock to Mania.
Roadblock.
It's better, but it still feels massively predictable, because if Rhea Ripley, and I'm not even doing betting odds here on this preview, because I mean I will do that over on the Sports Gambling podcast, but it seems pointless here because all the winners are heavy favorites, in my opinion. I can't make a case for anybody except Rhea keeping a belt, Becky winning and challenging Rhea, Drew McIntyre winning the men's match, and I even forget what the other match is. Judgment Day keeping the tag belts against the 2 British midgets. Like, that's it. Like, it's cut and dry. There's no other outcome that you could sell to me unless you want to try it.
No, the Becky deal, they really, I think, screwed that up by, like, they practically ignore that Nia's having a match. I was glad to see that Raquel, when she came out, even said, hey, let's not forget that Nia looks good out here. You know, it's like, at least she tried, and I appreciate them at least saying that and going, well, like, they try to say, well, Becky has, you know, she lost to Nia, so what does that mean if she has to go against her? We all know this is, if Vince was running this, maybe Rhea loses in Australia, but it's not going to go on here. That's the biggest issue, is, you know, that Becky's going to win this thing. But when you look at, I look at the women's match is way more fascinating, I think, than the guys' match.
Really? Why?
The people that are in it, to me, I'm trying to figure out where they all go and what they're supposed to then do, because Bianca has like fucking nothing going on, and I'm like, who is she going against, right? Like, I have no clue. And then you have Liv is saying how she has this redemption tour and she has to get to Rhea. She's not gonna fucking win. The problem is,
she should have been made out to be a more believable opponent. Like, it should have been, you should be going into this thinking, is it going to be Liv or is it going to be Becky?
Also, the order of whoever gets eliminated. Who the hell is getting out of here, like, first or second? Because I go, yeah, Bianca, that's, you can't do it. Tiffany's new, she can't fucking go out. Liv has this redemption, she can't fucking go out. And in there, I think there's a who cares in there.
Raquel's in there.
Raquel's a hard one because she just came back.
Well, that was the thing about her is that she replaced Jade Cargill in the advertising because the decision was made that we are not going to pin Jade.
Yeah, even don't do that yet.
They decided that I think
I still think it's her and Nia at Mania, and we get the body slam.
Yeah, they don't want to go down obviously the same exact booking as AEW, but beating her now or having her beaten in any way. I mean, even not winning the Rumble, I felt people think that was a really strong showing. I don't. I don't think 3 eliminations and
3 is not
3 eliminations and coming in like was it 29, 28?
3 late too. Yeah, that's another problem. She should have came in and dieseled at least and got that record. Who cares if she has the record for eliminations in one single one? And then you look fucking big, have fucking a lot of people in there by the time she gets in and she chucks 10 right off the bat,
I thought the debut would have been stronger rather than that big Nia spot. I mean, people think that one Nia spot compensated for it. I'm not sure. I think you could have done that plus more eliminations and been in there longer, which kind of tells me they don't trust that in-ring yet. But at the same time, she's out of the chamber because at some point she'd have had to be pinned or submitted, and they've decided not to do that. So she's out. Raquel is the replacement. She's in from the promo material that I saw. So I think, the order of elimination, it's hard. It's hard to not see it coming down to Becky and Liv, but then how early do you put Bianca out? I mean, you could put her out anywhere as long as she takes. If she's going to go out, the person that goes out first, say it's a Raquel, needs to be. You need to have the person who takes all the finishes, and you have that elimination.
Yeah, get everybody. So who's in it now? Because I'm like, okay, Liv, Bianca, Becky, Raquel, Tiffany. Who else?
Naomi.
That was the one I was like, okay. And that's hard to normally you would think she's out first too, right? She's new again. Who are they gonna sacrifice?
I can only think it would be Raquel with the hit all the finishes spot.
Oh God, and be the first one out after I'm back and I'm bigger, so I could, take on these 2 girls if whoever wins.
It's that battle royal thing where if you're the big man and everybody and all the 19 guys put you out the battle royal, you actually are protected.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, and I'm assuming, do you think they're all in before anybody gets eliminated? That's the compensation where you go, well, you're only going to get out because only going to get pinned or lose because everyone's in there. So everyone's going on for a while, and it's not just one-on-one. You got pinned and you're out of here.
I wonder if you can do something where Bianca puts Tiffany out first, and then they make it up to her by Tiffany gets a big win over Bianca at WrestleMania.
Because I'm thinking Tiffany and Liv are at WrestleMania because she's the one who punched her in the throat right when they were yelling at each other.
Yeah, but they're on different brands if anyone cares about that anymore.
Yeah, I think Mania is that whole, I think they've kind of told us there's no brand split until Mania is done, and do they end up having these matches to where it's multiple in a thing to have a match? Or is somebody tag titling? Who the hell are the champs again? Oh, okay. It's the Bukaki Warriors. I forgot about that. So which 2 of these girls are going after those tag belts? That's what it's going to be. Someone's going to tag.
You can probably send Liv and Raquel back after them because she'd mentioned it before, but that's not much of a revenge tour for her.
It isn't. It's a real bad. And I'm like, and does Bianca go, well, I haven't won the tag belts. I'll do that now. And because didn't she want the one with the title, EO? So is that the second closest thing? Because it's in her group.
But who does she tag with? You just put her with Naomi and just there
you go. Do a black thing.
No. And then these people online will complain about that. Oh, they only put them together because they were black. Honestly, the complaints I've seen this week have been horrendous. It makes me so like it makes it so justified that we've stayed on the other side completely. I feel that like our podcast and our content will get more appreciation as
the
more
alternative.
Yeah, as the alternative, as fans
Normalcy
move in that direction and podcasts move in that direction. But I sent you a clip this week where you can kind of see like the leaders or sort of the type of podcasters who are pushing it towards this wave. So because if they're allowed to have enough listenership, which they do, and along with them and the likes of SAP, then they are the people who guide people down this direction. I don't think that these wrestling fans became pussified so quickly. I believe that they came in as wrestling fans and then decided to seek out more content. And it's this type of content that we found this week that turned them. Do you have an audio clip?
I do. You ready?
So we're moving off Chamber. We know all the winners, so we're moving off.
Yeah, really. This like the only other thing to talk about in Chamber, I was going to say, what's the order of the men losing? The only thing I could think of my head is that KO pins Logan. That's the one thing where he goes, oh, look, see, he got a pin on him after he's losing to him, you know? But look here. So this is from Post Wrestling, one of Billy's favorite shows. Billy listens to all these and he goes, oh my God, I got not enough time in the day to listen to every show. So here is they are talking about the Velveteen Dream, one of the greatest creative performers that we've seen in a long time when it comes to just being creative. In the ring, normal. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's fucking Shawn Michaels, but I don't think he's shit. He's just, okay, he's fine. He's fine. And as we know, he quote unquote got in trouble. You guys know the story. I'm going to play the clip because we're going to have some talking to have here.
Of Dynasty Wrestling had a surprise for its audience. An appearance unadvertised of the former Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark, for their show in Albany over the weekend. And this has drawn a lot of criticism after this was revealed that Patrick Clark showed up and faced a surprise opponent on the spot in front of this crowd. And I think for a lot of people, number one, it's, the fact that, Patrick Clark comes with the accusations against him that I think many people are very much concerned by. Number two, at the very least, is that not advertising this in advance is something that, if you're going to book Patrick Clark, I think you owe it to your audience to at least give them warning. This is what we're doing. We are booking this person. And then you can decide if you want to buy a ticket or not. You can support this. Conversely, you can also have the option not to support this. Doing it in this way, I just thought was a really tacky way to do it, and not advertise it in advance.
Now, before we get on to the next statement by the next guy here, let me fucking start, and you could attack as well. Them saying this is the problem that they didn't have, like they think they're doing the, oh, you guys were scared to do it. You were scared of the backlash. That's why you didn't put this out there. The mistake is that they didn't put it out there because they would have had more fucking people come. Because you're going to hear an actual star is showing up at a fucking indie show and you're going to show up for one. So there is the mistake. They would have got more fucking people. The fact that they think it's to have people warned. Oh, I can't have. Oh, Billy, heavens to Murgatroyd. I can't have my child go to this show to see such a heinous human being who had nothing fucking proved about anything they claim has happened. Not a charge fucking brought.
Which they actually go on to say. They actually go on to say that.
Yes. So they destroy their own. We'll get into it. Nothing. No police. They wouldn't have needed witness. The police would have fucking hauled him away if they fucking found that he was busy with fucking kids. He talked to somebody. He talked to a fucking someone who he went on a fucking show and explained all this shit. Didn't do anything fucking wrong. But he should be outcast. And how dare my eyes be disgraced by, you imagine someone at a fucking wrestling show, Billy. They're not at the fucking the Met in the fucking opera. They're at a wrestling show. And Velveteen Dream shows up and they fucking gasp and can't fucking, I I can't allow my eyes to see this. I need to get up and fucking leave. You imagine a human being that watches wrestling would be fucking clutching fucking pearls like this.
O.J. Simpson played for the New York Giants, right?
No, he played for the Buffalo Bills.
Right, okay. Either way.
And the 49ers. Go ahead.
If O.J. Simpson turned up to the Buffalo Bills and he was surprise inducted into the Bills Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
You may have some people that are annoyed that they've done it, but who is going to be upset and offended by it? As in, when they're talking about
offended part is weird to me.
Yeah, this is what I mean. They're talking about offended. The word to offend somebody is if I turn around and say something offensive to you. You're short. You're fat. You're ugly. You're a piece of shit. You're a moron. Like, these are offensive comments.
Yes.
Yeah, because they come at you. They can hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
How are your feelings being hurt by something that you're witnessing out there in front of you? Because that would mean that you would never be able to go out there and you wouldn't be able to watch the news. The entire news would hurt your feelings. Any kind of TV show with a villain in it or a horror film would hurt your feelings. Your feelings would not be able to cope with any kind of emotion. If that was the definition of offense, that's not the different definition of offense. This whole thing about viewers may find this offensive, viewers may find this offensive, you may find these lines offensive. We've changed the very definition of what offensive is, because now it's this secondary offensive. Like, I'm offended for this person. You're what? You're offended for the person that he's meant to have attacked. Is that who you're offended for? This person that you don't know, whilst WWE cleared him of all charges under their investigation. There's this massive misconception that this guy was fired because of what he did with a kid. Actually, there was an investigation. He was acquitted. He remained a part of the roster. And whilst there was heat on him, he was involved in a massive house party with NXT people that got out of hand, to which WWE decided that he needed to go because it was too much.
He got pulled over and he had drugs in the car. That didn't help him. That didn't help him at all. And then it's almost in the Enzo territory. A girl accused Enzo. I think they were looking to get rid of Enzo. I think they used that as an excuse immediately to get rid of Enzo and just said, "Oh, we don't like him, so here's our excuse to fire him," even though you could just get rid of anybody any time, but they don't want to hear the backlash.
There's this whole guilty before innocent thing.
Yes.
We're seeing it now with Vince McMahon as well. But at the end of the day, even if people are guilty, like you hear them later on in their show talking about the promotion booking Alberto Del Rio and whatnot. Who gives a shit? Like, you may not like him. You may turn around and go, "Oh, Del Rio's a prick. Velveteen Dream's a prick. I don't like this person. I don't like what they do." But to be offended means that you are upset. It means that you go home and be like, "That ruined the show for me. That surprise ruined the show." Like, what kind of people are these people? Like, why do you need to give a warning for this? Because they're basically saying, instead of doing this surprise, which probably I would like to think, because I still have some fucking faith in wrestling fans, because if I didn't have the teeny amount of faith in it, I don't think I could do the show at all. I still have a tiny bit of faith that for the most part, most people are like, "Oh, hey, I really enjoyed that surprise. That made it more worthwhile me buying this ticket. I did not expect to see Velveteen Dream tonight, who was one of the best performers in the last 5 years to ever out of NXT. That made the show better." I would like to think that 90% of people enjoyed that, and it was enjoyed that he was there, number one. And number two, the surprise part of it added another 50% to the fact that he was even there, right? Because you got something that you didn't even know you were going to get.
Yeah.
And I don't know who these 5%, 2%, 1% are, but they have bigger problems in their lives than Velveteen Dream showing up if they are that much of an emotional pussy that they somehow got offended by that situation.
I made sure to put on my pearls, Billy, so I could grab them when I find myself offended here.
But what's worse is these guys are pushing the narrative. Before on this show, they did an entire thing trying to dig deeper into the Vince stuff, trying to find people that had said this and that. Listen, we talked about it initially. We're not digging deep and trying to find more and more about it. What is it with these journalists who make their money from wrestling, yet they want everything in wrestling canceled? Like everybody
a boring fucking show.
They are so anti WWE. They're so anti Vince McMahon. They're just looking to send this guy to the fucking electric chair if they could, just so they can talk about it. But not understanding it, that's the only reason that they only have something to talk about in their sad little lives. Like, if I'm WWE, I'm pulling these people up and saying, get the fuck out of our media scrum. We're the ones that should be there. Not only would we first of all ask a fucking decent question, but second of all, we're not bitches and snitches behind their back, burying them, trying to get the guy that founded the company completely cancelled and sent to jail by digging up every detail. And they even said on their show that ever since it happened, they said these stories are more important than WrestleMania. I understand it's WrestleMania season, but people need to realize all this Vince stuff's more important. And everybody like me, everybody should feel the same. They were actually saying that everybody should realize this is going on and everybody should be uncomfortable watching Raw. They actually were pushing that uncomfortability on people. Like, this is what these guys are pushing. It's them, it's SAP. This is the kind of journalists. And what's most sad is that this is the kind of journalists who are more prominent and getting more viewership and Patreons and whatnot.
Should we hear the end of their the statement or what the other guy has to say?
Let's hear it, because let's hear the complete contradiction that does come out, the fact that he was cleared. Yeah.
Here you go.
Dynasty, I guess, defended their decision to book Patrick Clark by tweeting, "Last night we did what most others wouldn't. We took a risk on a person and gave them an opportunity for a second chance to fulfill their, in capital letters, dream. We stand by that decision. Thank you to the packed house for last night's event."
I hope they're supported, that company.
No, that's fine. I would say that it would be fair to your audience that you announce this in advance.
God.
I think they did not want to take that risk.
Yeah.
Let's all fucking have to take medication and make sure everybody's okay. Make sure nobody, gets startled. We don't want anyone to be fucking rattled.
How many people, what's the over-under on people that ask for a refund because they got to see Velveteen Dream?
The over-under is 1. And I'm like, well, 1 wouldn't go by himself. He'd have his friend. So maybe, you got to get with the 2.
And he's probably the guy that subscribes to their top Patreon package. The one guy that was there that gets their full package.
The funny thing is, I bet you 0 people asked, because that would have been the first thing. They would have been like, and this many people fucking wanted a refund because see what they fucking did to their audience. They would have been fucking screaming how many people asked for a refund.
Do you listen to that guy when do you actually wonder when you hear that guy go, I think it would have been fair to their audience, that John Pollock, and do you actually wonder like how the fuck,
I know neither of these people.
What type of person listens to him and then says, I really like this guy, I'm going to subscribe to the top tier of his Patreon, like whatever it's called, the cafe bullshit, whatever it's called.
See, you even know what the fuck it is. Shame on you.
Well, because I have to fucking keep my eyes and ears open to see what these fucking idiots are doing. Because we're doing counter content essentially.
Yeah.
But then you have to. You have to. It has to be. Well, for me, it is. I'm asking from your perspective. I find it somewhat demoralizing that we do counter content and they have more subscribers and have more rights to the media scrum and guests.
World today.
When
shitty world today.
I could never sit there and do that content. I couldn't even pretend to be him.
No, you can't. It'd be impossible.
I wonder if it's an act and if he's being this righteous journalist. Like Sap, with Sap, we know it's an act. We know he cheats on his wife. We know he's a piece of shit. We know he fucking
I don't know anything about that. I when you said I know he's an act, I know goddamn well he's a fucking act. And the funny thing is, I've defended him for certain things, right?
He did coke on camera. Like, even I don't do.
Not on camera, at least.
No, I can see a bag of coke from where I'm sitting, but I'm not going to fucking do it on camera. I'm at least semi-professional. Like,
So here is my issue with the SAP stuff. Now we'll get into another story because I don't even think. Do we need to listen to the rest of this? Is there anything?
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it.
I guess it's certainly
I love the melancholy.
He's one of those
all
figures that
down.
I think makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I at this point am not even too sure what sort of the results of the investigations are, or like
I don't know, but he sure as fuck had a stand on how dare they, fuck, and he doesn't even fucking know that. Oh yeah, nothing, fucking nothing. But he should be fucking. Everyone should be warned about him.
Well, he didn't say as much. It was the other guy. It was John that went in with the lead in. So the other guy turned around, and just followed his lead because obviously John's the lead. And but the thing is, John brought up the point, and John actually knows the result because Way's asking him, "I don't know the outcome," and because John.
Who are the two people on this?
What?
Who are the two people on this show?
John Pollock and Wei Ting.
Wei Ting. His name is Waiting?
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to be interesting, but it's never happened.
Fuck. All right, we'll continue.
Where these allegations stand. Where do they stand?
I mean, there was no investigation beyond the one that WWE stated that they looked into it and they found nothing there.
Imagine that.
And I mean, it was WWE's decision. They did not cut him at that point. That was in 2020. It was the following year that they did cut him. And you have had the.
Go ahead.
I said they were just waiting for him to fuck up again.
Different accusations that have come out. I mean, he did do the interview with Chris Van Vliet where he was giving his defense of the accusation.
The one thing is he couldn't explain where his cock picture came from. That was the only thing I got out of that interview. He couldn't explain where that came from. I said, when you've taken a big cock picture, come on, we've all done that.
As well. Yeah, I think it's just, to me, at the very least, whether you agree with Patrick Clark being booked or not, I just think you owe it to your audience to be fair about it and advertise that in advance and not do it in a way where it's this surprise appearance. Because to me, like that's just not playing fair with your audience.
Oh my fucking God. I can't fucking live on this planet. I saw they landed something on the moon today. I missed my ride, Billy, because I can't fucking take this. I can't take it.
That means you have turned somewhat in the last 6-7 months. Because I remember you used to fucking tell me to calm down, and
there are things you can calm down about. Sure, there are things that I will never fucking calm down about.
But like, it is getting really fucking bad now.
I mean, you yell about trans, I don't give a shit. But there are certain things, like I have my opinion, you have yours about other things, but we are certainly alike on a lot of things like this.
It was trans wasn't so much for you, but I was saying to you, because obviously I don't want to talk to my kid, but I was saying to you, you open the door and you let this fucking you let little things in, and maybe the first one doesn't bother you, the second one doesn't bother you. Gay marriage, oh yeah, that's fine. Trans people, whoa, like it's. You let this shit keep happening, and then eventually, like, you end up with this. Where
here's the thing: like, I could care less if somebody's cutting their cock off or sewing themselves shut. I give a shit. I know you're more about. You don't care. I don't think either about that. You care more about if it's being pushed to the kids.
Yeah.
Which
is what it was with Punk. So
yeah. See, I even talked about that on the Get My Go. I was like, yeah, we completely disagreed with the sign thing, because I'm like, I thought he was just doing a nice thing saying be kind to people. Who cares? And you were on the other way about that, and we agreed to disagree. Who gives a shit? I want to play a clip of this is what everybody's been outraged this week about, Billy. And it was the clip of John Cena on Howard Stern this last week. And I listened to it before I knew anything. I knew anything about anyone upset by anything like this. And I listened to it. The first thing I said is, Cena really knows how to fucking conduct himself and speak. He fucking seems to me that he says everything correctly. And then I saw people were outraged by what he said. And I was like, what? How in the fuck are people fucking outraged by this? So also you see online, it's 2 sentences people post about the whole entire fucking 5-minute fucking interview.
They post he's my friend and I'm gonna be
It
the
is
right?
amazing. It is amazing. So when
Yeah,
I did my show, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I haven't even seen the 2 they posted, but I just guessed those were the 2 because I knew if you're taking 2 sentences out of context, the whole thing, it would be I love the guy and I'm going to be his friend. Like that's what they're going to use, right?
That's all it is. And at the same time, I don't even find that to be fucking crazy, because if you are friends with somebody and you love the person as a person, it doesn't mean you got to love what they fucking did. Because I called one of our super fans on my last Wrestlinga show today, because he fucking wrote he grabbed his pearls. And I said, motherfucker, I'm calling him on the fucking show. And I said, you motherfucker. He admitted first, never heard the interview, read the 2 fucking lines. That's number 1. And then I said to him, so if you had a son that killed somebody, we go extreme. Your son killed someone. Do you abandon your son or do you love your son still? Stopped him in his tracks, kind of, and he still loves his fucking son, right? And I'm like, so if you are friends with somebody and they do something you are not thrilled about, are you just fucking going, fuck off? I hate you. I'm never going to fuck it. It's a very fucking different thing. Because I said to him, so if I did all this shit, you wouldn't be my friend anymore? You still wouldn't, you would disown me and never fucking speak to me again. Couldn't say he would too about that. So I'm like, don't fucking start with this. So here is the clip from Cena and Stern.
I'll say before.
How do you handle this? Is a tough one. I know you love the WWE.
What did you say?
I was going to say before you play it, I don't want it to be like an after reaction. I want people to listen to Stern on this as well, because Stern has been undoing his reputation.
Yes.
And here is just vintage 2024 Stern. He admits that he abandoned his friend when this was the guy who was.
And I guarantee I know who it is.
The most outspoken people, and then he's in there going, seen as I believe in, is it accountability and what? And Stern's going, so do I agree. It's just fucking such self-righteous bullshit from him again. But yeah, I just wanted to point out, have a listen to how sheep like Stern is. I'll never forgive him for the vaccine shit where he was turning around and saying, the unvaccinated need to be made to take it and all this shit.
Also his you got to be outrageous. If you want me to pause this at any time, just put your hand up and I'll
listen now.
Okay.
You love Vince and everything, but now Vince has gotten himself into hot water. What the fuck? I have a couple of friends who have gotten into
Matt Lauer
hot
is one
water,
of them,
let's call it,
from the Today
and it's
Show.
so goddamn confusing because you love the guy. And at the same time, also, you don't love what he's being accused of, obviously. What do you do? I mean, how do you handle those situations? I don't know how to handle them.
Well, so how do you handle yours?
See, I like that too, that he threw it on him. Well, let's see, because I was like, I don't know how much is true when Howard says that kind of shit. He just makes that up to be like, you make your guest open up by going, I had the same thing. You go, all right, well, what happened with you? What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, it's interesting. There are some people I no longer want to associate with because and it's almost not fair because it's not like they've been on trial, but there's been accusations that are disturbing. So I go, can I be personal friends with this person? And some people I can, because there's lines in my mind where things are drawn. But some people I can't because it's too big a mountain to climb. In other words, if any of this is true, I can't know you. I loved you. I love what you did for me. I love our friendship. But now that I know this about you, there's no turning back. I have to do what I morally think is right. And unfortunately, it's not to associate. But this is a guy who's been so good to you.
Sure.
And so great in your career. I imagine it's a mind fuck. And then when you get asked about it, it's like it's too complicated to even talk about.
So I don't think it's complicated to talk about. I think it's complicated to listen to.
Mhm.
And that's kind of why I don't necessarily put a lot of time and equity into it.
Yeah.
Again, I think there's still a long ways to go.
Yeah.
I can say this. I'm a big advocate of love and friendship and honesty and communication. But in the same breath, I'm also a big advocate of accountability.
Yeah, me too.
I think you explained it well of if someone's behavior lies so far outside your value system that the balance shifts of like, man, I can't operate in a world where this works.
Yeah.
That's the end result of being accountable. But
What the
there's
hell
also
are you gonna do though?
Right now, what I'm going to do is love the person I love,
Right.
be their friend. And by that, it means like, hey, I love you. You got a hill to climb. And, there's the saying of like, hey, you don't know who you are or you don't know who your friends are until the shit hits the fan or your back's against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow.
Right.
But just telling somebody that like, hey, I love you, man, this is going to be a hill to climb. We're going to see what happens. And that's that. I think it sounds so cliche, but it has to be one day at a time. But at the same token, I've openly said is I love the guy. I got a great relationship with the guy. So that's that.
No, I don't think that's cliche at all. That's kind of in my approach. One thing I do, and I say this to my wife all the time, I said, I'm going to pick up the phone and call the guy. I don't want to sit there and hide and say, I don't want to be the kind of friend who then says, well, I'm never going to address this again.
Yeah, I think my construct of trying to operate with honesty and communication, I think those are strong leads to handling any problem or any achievement. But the whole thing is super, super unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's really the thing that sucks, because not only does it deal with an individual I love, it deals with an entity that I love.
Yeah.
And it's one that I speak highly of. And you want to make sure I want everyone to have the experience I had. I want, if you're an employee at Disneyland, you want everybody to go to Disney and think it's the greatest place on earth. And when someone doesn't, or when you find out that there may or may not have been things going on there that, this place I was speaking so great about, well, in some aspects needed a lot of work. That's more than just how do I feel about this person. Now I shift to, okay, am I doing all I can to make it better? From the advice of like, work as hard as you can, promote as hard as you can. Is there anything I can do? So not only do I tell my friend I love them, I also switch to the entity and say, how can I help?
So the fucking reaction of Sap to put a fucking emoji of the hand over the face, like Cena fucked up, is fucking ridiculous. Everything he said is fucking right on, spot the fuck on. I don't know how anyone could be. They want him to be like, Vince is a piece of shit. I would never fucking fuck this guy. Amazing to me.
What I said at the start, they all these ones that are more prominent, they just want the WWE cancelled. They promote the other product. They overemphasize the achievements of the other product, whether it be ratings, attendances. They give them higher match quality. They put over their stars. They do that first and foremost. Then, whenever there's a scandal, they're the first ones digging the deepest for the dirt, and then criticizing anything that happens like this. So they're quite happy to go along with any of the negative comments that came out. Seth Rollins recently said something which felt like it was fed to him by TKO or somebody, because it was very much a case of he was saying it was disgusting. We've seen the disgusting allegations. Well, he's not guilty. So some of this does feel like they wanted him out. And I mean, even when you look at the pictures of the girl, they use the same picture everywhere. If you Google this Janelle Grant, it's the same photograph of her looking how she did 15 years ago. This wasn't so she looks young and manipulated as much as she possibly can. Not someone who was not close to Vince's age, but you know, it's a different story when somebody is actually in their 30s or mid 30s than it is when, you know, it's when you look at the picture that they use of her as a 20-year-old. So that's very fishy. Some of the comments of other WWE guys have been quite fishy, but Cena, you know, he's somebody who dips in and dips out, so he can pretty much say what he wants. He's Teflon.
Yeah,
and
he really is.
It is. But because it didn't go along with the narrative that they've created, where they want Vince to be completely guilty, everybody's guilty till proven innocent.
Yeah,
and they do this all the time. It was the wrestling journalists that were more prominent that were jumping on WWE during the sex scandals before, you know, with the Pat Patterson scandals, the steroid scandals, the Chris Benoit situation, Owen Hart. They all go all out to make the repercussions for WWE as bad as they possibly can. So just kick the fucking idiots out of the media. Let them go and see how much money they can make just talking about AEW and getting AEW interviews. Don't allow them any access. Like, kick Sean Ross Sapp the fuck out. Like, right now is what I would do. I hate the guy because he's a cunt, but you can see what he is.
I want to know what someone like Sapp would have wanted Cena to say. I want to know the pearl, you know, grasping, what all of these people that are saying, I can't believe Cena said that. I want to know, what did you want him to say? I want to see if they say, I wanted him to condemn them, say Vince is a horrible human being. I would never associate with him the rest of my life. That is, it has to be exactly what the fuck they want him to say. And I think it's to want chaos. They want to fucking have more. Look, Vince is really getting fucking shit on by everybody now, instead of being like, it's my fucking friend. Yeah. And he says, you got a fucking road to travel, you know, to fucking get shit right. If all this is true or whatever, it's the thing about if it's true or not, like, everyone could go into, is this morally fine? Is this horrible? It's your fucking taste. Was it rape? Did she actually say no during things? If that is the case, is a different story for me. You're fucking raping someone if they're telling you fucking no, which they have said that. Go ahead. Google
something for me quickly, because you got your phone there, right?
Yep.
Michael Hutchinson of INXS, the back XS, INXS.
Yeah,
right?
I know Michael Hutchins.
Didn't he not die because he
jerking off?
Yeah, he took his sex life to such a level that he jerked off whilst strangling himself, right?
Yeah, he strangled himself. Yeah, he hung himself while he's jerking off.
Right. So does that not tell you that when you get to this situation, that people have other problems, which are not a case of you being this horrible fucking person,
sexual deviance?
Quite simply, like, what we're actually looking at here is not a rapist, not somebody who, well, maybe they did take advantage of their position, but whatever they did, if you're going to be all sensitive nowadays, then it's got to work both ways. If you're going to be these super sensitive people that say, oh, this person had a mental health problem, or oh, this person, or George Floyd, like, with that whole situation, everything with him was forgiven because of the way he got killed. Like, it didn't matter what his criminal record was or anything like that. He became the situation was there. He was killed, and how they treated him was too harsh. And everything now is about forgiveness and redemption and letting things go. So here, with everybody now trying to say that, oh, my mental illness is this, my mental illness is that. This happened because of my mental illness. That happened because of my mental illness. Alexa Bliss had a mental illness problem. Bray Wyatt had a mental illness problem. When I was
growing up, nobody had mental illness, it seemed.
Exactly. Everybody wants to use it as an excuse.
I think everyone today is mentally ill.
Yeah, everybody wants to use it.
In the wrestling world.
Everybody wants to protect everybody who's got a mental illness, yet they all fucking drive people to fucking suicide on Twitter and whatnot, but they don't mention that. So in the same bracket, could we not turn around and say this guy did a lot of shit because he actually has some serious mental issues? Because Michael Hutchinson hanging himself whilst having a wank, or masturbating, as you guys say, did not fall under the category of he's a disgusting pervert, what a terrible person, let's cancel him forever. He's hardly
anybody else. He wasn't hurting anybody else. I understand that part.
He wasn't, but neither was Vince. Like,
well, I mean, if you want to go into accounts of like I'm saying, if she's saying no to all this, you are hurting someone else. I think his biggest crime was he didn't fucking pay what he said he was going to fucking pay. I bet if he said he could go back in time, he'd give her fucking double. Yeah, because this all goes away if he's a man of his fucking word. If she agreed to it, she agreed to it.
Word or no word or whatever you want to say about it. At the end of the day, like fucking, he needs to be accountable for his addiction. But if it is an addiction to sex and heightening it to this level and to the point where he paid her to, you know, to be this person, which obviously she did, because no means no and yes means yes is so out there that it has to be part of a role play. Like I know that 100%. So at the end of the day,
get locked up, please.
At the end of the day, what we're actually looking at is someone who's dealing with serious issues, like where it lets him not acting normal. But the thing is that at the same time, there'll be people out there that don't get caught and can live their entire life like this and can get prostitutes to do whatever they want, or girlfriends to do whatever they want, or have multiple girlfriends and multiple sexual relationships. And
it's the position of power that he's in. Why also he's fucking. If this is one of the wrestlers just fucking one of the girls and doing this, not a fucking word is said. But if it's the boss who has power over someone to lose their job, but meanwhile he gave her a fake job anyway. You know who I find the most weaselly and wormy of this whole entire thing? I wonder if you agree with me. Is Johnny Ace.
Yeah, I get that. His account of things.
He's a weasel. He's a rat and a weasel. He is quickly with the telling on everything, and Vince made me do this. It's the biggest fucking joke when I hear all his stuff, where it's because he's trying to save his marriage. This fucking point. Vince made me do it. I was afraid to lose my job, which is the biggest fucking, and like he's saying everything a guy would say to try to get out of this, where you would be like, you should pray that Vince fires you for not fucking her. You will own the company if that's the fucking, you would be able to sue for $1 zillion. But he's full of shit. He was like, oh, good, I'm going to go fuck a 20-year-old at fucking work. You know, whatever. He was into it. Now it's, oh, he did it. He just, that fucking Weasley worm shit.
See, even you think she's 20 because you saw that photo. This is what.
Time. When did it start? How old was she at the time? Like, wasn't she like early 20s when like he met her at the Ritz or whatever the fuck his penthouse is, and started shortly after that? I don't fucking know, but I know she was a younger girl. Obviously, he's not going to go with a fucking older one. But then you get into the Ashley Massaro stuff that comes out where it's like, good fucking Lord, if they knew that she was fucking drugged at the USO fucking tour and everybody took turns fucking her in the ass even, and they were like, listen, you can't talk about it. That's some fucking major crazy fucking shit.
Is that a story?
Oh, yeah. That was the last. She wrote it in her book. And now it's like, well, I guess it ain't that. But they were saying like Stephanie was there saying, shut the fuck up. Don't say anything either, which if that's the case, Stephanie should really be fucking ashamed of herself because you're a woman with, you know.
She's saying she got drugged and the military, the soldiers, are they soldiers?
Yes.
Called soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what it was called if you're in the Navy.
Seamen.
Army soldiers. I didn't know what the Navy seamen.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's saying she got drugged and they all took turns on her.
Yes. That's what it said in her book, and anally too. And she was like kept there, and they flew her back eventually. It was like, no, we like our relationship with the fucking armed forces. Don't say anything that's going to cause problems. It's like the fight, which they go, yeah, it probably led to her killing herself eventually. I'm sure there was other fucking issues in there too, but it was like, and then it was good stuff. It was Vince, good as in fucking insane. She said Vince wasn't interested in her until the Playboy thing came out. Then all of a sudden he was writing her promos for her, and he was asking her to come to his hotel room, and he kept calling, and she's like, fuck, I don't want to go. And then she called Kevin Dunn to say, Vince keeps asking me to fucking go to his hotel room, but I don't want to. And Dunn immediately goes, tell him you're sick and you'll see him tomorrow at work. So Kevin Dunn knows how it fucking goes too. He knows where the bodies are buried. That's why he fucking quit. You know that. And so that was like fucking known. And it was like, Jesus Christ. But apparently her promos were horrific that were written for her. And she gave it to Michael Hayes, and he goes, you're not saying this. This is fucking horrible. Who the fuck wrote this shit? And she goes, Vince. And he goes, well, sometimes you got to do. Oh, man.
This is the thing. Whatever way you slice it, and whatever way, whatever you want to say about it.
Yeah.
In this current climate where everybody's fucking got some sort of mental problem, and they're all trying to hide behind this happening and that happening and this shit happening in my childhood. And this is the thing, like I hear it all the time. Like I argue with my son's mum all the time because she can't fucking cope with Austin. Well, yeah, no fucking shit. Like he's 13 years old. They're a fucking pain in the ass. They can be. Most of the time they are, right? And it's the same for every fucking kid between fucking 11 and 18. Like that, they're going to be a pain in the ass. Most of the time, kids are not fun, right? They're annoying. They want shit. They want to fucking spend your money. They want to do stuff they're not allowed to do. You deal with it like people used to deal with it. Now, when kids are a little bit more difficult or demanding, they've got ADHD. They've got ADHD
for it now. Yeah,
they've got Asperger's, or what's the other one?
Instead of just you're a little bastard.
Yeah. Shit. What's the other one? Not ADHD. The other one. I can't think what the other one is. What the other one is. Autism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're autistic. No.
He's on the spectrum. Everybody's on the spectrum.
Because now we seem to have more autistic and more ADHD people than we've ever had, like ever. So either it is a case of we're now realizing what this was, or we're just making excuses for all this shit. So I'll tell you what, we'll just come out here, we'll make an excuse for Vince. We'll say that he's fucking autistic and he had ADHD and a fucking sex addiction. And we'll say, hey, Vince, you check yourself into some fucking rehab centers, and then you come back and take your position back on the board of TKO. Because, I mean, that would be fucking what happens in other places for other people. Like, that's one way you could look at it.
I think the world is fucking doomed at this point with all the soft everything. Everything is I understand, and I'm well into the be kind, and you don't need to attack certain people, and you don't need to be an asshole to be an asshole, things like this, right? And there's a fucking line though between really the coddling and don't let anyone be exposed to anything that would ever fucking hurt their eyes. And it's like, how the fuck did all of us grow up with no fucking problem? People watching me and you might think there is a fucking problem. But it's like everything was fucking very normal, and like you could ride your bike without a helmet. Now you're forced to wear a fucking helmet. You would fall down. You would skin your fucking knee. You would break something. Things would happen. It was called fucking growing up and having fucking and life. And now it's, this. The funny thing is, the people who are crying and complaining about how dare they, how this and that, it's always the people who are the worst that are the ones yelling the most.
Let me ask you, you say we're the problem. People watching us will say, like, "Oh, we might be the problem."
That are soft will say we're horrible, and those fucking people.
We're horrible. Yeah, we're horrible. Yeah. But have you ever watched any stand-up comedian?
Oh fuck! God forbid they watch.
Have you ever turned it off or changed the channel because it was too upsetting for you, because the content was too upsetting.
I've never been upset by a fucking a comedian thing. I've only turned things off when it's not fucking funny.
Right.
You know. So yeah, I mean, Eddie Murphy was fucking hilarious. Dice back in the day was fucking hilarious. Like, I always throw out Lisa Lampanelli was fucking fantastic.
And by the same mark, has any TV show ever bothered you to the point where you wrote a complaint?
Oh my God.
Upsetting you found it, and how you believed it shouldn't be on TV.
You imagine writing a fucking letter to a fucking broadcasting company. It's like, I'm upset by this. And the funny thing is, if 100 people did it, that's the ones they will listen to, instead of the million that fucking didn't write in and watch the show and had ratings that high. But
so, disregarding a movie, a TV series, which is a thriller or a horror film, anything ever in your life unintentionally disturbed you where it had the wrong reaction? Because I can't say a single example of something that's upset me. I was offended by it. Every single thing I went in and got exactly what I needed out of it. Like, if you fucking watch a program about the O.J. Simpson murders, you're going to see someone get fucking murdered, or you're going to hear about fucking people being fucking stabbed to death. Like, you know, that poor guy just came back and found his fucking wife killed. Like, he had to, you know, go on trial for it. Like, but you know, like that was the fucking situation with that. And then, you know, with horror films, you get what you're gonna get. Like,
you know what you're gonna get. Yep.
It's just, for me,
the only thing I've ever been disturbed by in my entire life, when it has come to like a movie that I wasn't expecting something. What year did RoboCop come out?
87, I think, maybe
87 or fucking. So I'm like 10 years old at that point, right? That movie fucking disturbed me only when they were fucking shooting fucking the cop, RoboCop eventually.
Oh, when he's like, no.
Yes. The hand blowing up is still in my fucking brain. So that is the only thing, but I wasn't like, I'm offended by this. It's a shoot 'em up movie. It is what it is. But that was like, it was too fucking real for me. I was like, oh fuck. The only movie that's ever scared the fucking shit out of me either is, and still to this day, I can't handle fucking seeing the scene, which people will always tweet to me and send to me, is the scene from the Twilight Zone, the movie, where the girl has no mouth. That fucks me up too.
Yeah, but it's supposed to.
Of course. Yes, this is what the fucking movie is. I don't
like the whole thing with RoboCop. And I tell you what's more disturbing as you get old, because I tell you what, it's more disturbing because it affects you when you're older as well. Do you watch the last Rambo where his daughter gets they take her in they traffic her?
Yeah.
So it's all building up to, so RoboCop kills everybody, spoiler, and then Rambo brutally kills everybody, and the last part is he pulls out the heart of the final bad guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's exactly, it's
Rambo.
It's the justification for it's the revenge that you want, because by the time you've seen tortured and eventually die from being human trafficked, right?
Yeah.
You want these bad guys to die in a horrific way. And the most horrific way is, and they didn't fucking they didn't shy away from it, or they didn't have to worry about cancel culture or offending anybody. They went to the fullest extreme. He pulled out the heart and showed it to him, like he told him on the phone call. I'm gonna this is how I'm gonna kill you. And he did it, right? So it's perfect. And that's what wrestling needs to be. It needs to be the perfect storytelling where if Cody can't pull Roman's heart out and show it to him, but he needs to fucking, you know, this win that he has at WrestleMania, like we're going way back round now.
Yeah,
like,
we're at the wrestling.
Needs to compensate for everything that he's gone through for the like he can't be a small package, can't be a roll-up. We all know that because we all have fucking brains and we all know how wrestling works. Cody Rhodes is not catching Roman Reigns with a fucking small package cradle at WrestleMania on night 2, right?
You know what? I actually wouldn't mind it. I know people would lose their mind, but I like it's how fucking Macho Man lost, right? It's out of nowhere. It's fuck. And it doesn't harm the fucking guy because it's like, I got fucking caught. I got fucking caught. Motherfucker. And that, remember how Diesel lost to Brett after a year, had him dead, and he fucking made one mistake and got caught.
That was building up towards him turning and smashing him through the tables and everything afterwards. But this is the end of the story. This isn't to say
They have to do what they have to do.
Yeah, like a small package sets up a rematch. So this is not what that is. So it's wrong. So essentially, like we're basically saying that Hollywood has full reign to tell whatever fucking stories that they want to tell. Except here, we're not allowed to tell the right stories because we have such a group of fucking pussies watching it that they need to be cared for and protected. And the people that turn them into pussies, and the people that turn them into pussies are these fucking saps and John Pollocks who control the narrative. Get Pollock out, get Sap out, or elevate shows like this to the point where you actually have count. I will hold my hands up and say I haven't done enough work. I've not worked hard enough on this podcast because primarily I'm being paid 10 times more to do another podcast, right? So it doesn't make any sense. If I didn't have that parachute under me, that parachute over me, sorry, and that safety net, the safety net under me, perhaps I'd go all in here and we could actually produce counter content. And the biggest complaint for us is, oh, Billy will do 2 shows in 2 days and then he doesn't do anything for a week. And yeah, I know that because sometimes I feel like it and sometimes I don't. And that's how it's always probably going to be. Unless.
And if it's an opinion thing, it's not reviewing shows. So if it's an opinion thing, it should be whenever it pops up. You're like, oh shit, there's something, and it's an opinion article.
Our problem can be consistency. Our problem can be the regularity of shows. People don't know when they're coming out. People don't know when to find us. That's what they say.
Yeah.
People subscribe to the YouTube and then they don't get anything for 2 weeks. Like, I've heard it all, but it all comes down to mood. And if we actually did go all in, perhaps we could be the counter content that people need. And maybe it's our fault. But if it's not us, there should be something else out there. I don't think Cornette and these other people are, because all they do is actually give an honest opinion. They're not actually telling you what should be cancelled, what shouldn't be cancelled. They give an honest take on.
But I think that's what it should be. It shouldn't be like having to go after it. It should be talking the way you talk, and if enough people talk the way we talk, that is the normal fucking way. I think Cornette's probably the best on podcasting right now with his show. His show is fucking so good with the shit he says. It's right on point with everything I think too, But
it's more so about the in-ring. He doesn't delve in with a strong. He doesn't delve in with a strong opinion about the political. No. He wouldn't delve in with this opinion of the. For example, he's not going to touch on the Velveteen Dream thing and whether people should be offended or shouldn't be offended by it.
I wonder if he would come. I mean, I'll keep an eye out to see if that does come up, because when there's topics like that are, like I'm wondering if he talked about the Vince deal and all that shit. He's gone through all that stuff. So if something's in the news that's big, this is what I'm also thinking about with, like, we think WWE or whoever, all wrestling thing, I have to cater to the fucking snowflaked people and offended people and all that, right? Where you'd go, why are they catering to the minority people that are offended, right? Where everybody else is not. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Maybe we are the minority. The ones who aren't offended are the minority. The ones who are offended now are the majority. So they are catering to the majority. I can't tell you that that's not the truth.
This is the problem. Nobody can tell you if that's the truth or not, because people tend to associate and socialize with their own kind. So what your circle tells you, to me, to you, you to me, the people in our group, apart from like he's woke and like me and him argue all the time because.
And here's the thing. Guess what? You're still friends with him, right?
Yeah.
Have you haven't abandoned him like everyone should abandon their friends? You haven't done that? Imagine that.
No, I mean, this is the thing. Like, this is the thing. It's one of them types of relationships that these marks and whatnot will never understand, because whilst he's more on the marky side of things, like we can go back and forth about, he hates Hulk Hogan. I don't hate Hulk Hogan. I think black people are lazy. He'll defend it. Like today, we were arguing about like how I hired a black cleaner and she didn't turn up for her first day at work, and I just said that's typical of you. I said it's typical of your lot. Like, and we went back and forth about it because that's what you were able to do 20 years ago, and I'm not going to be friends with anybody that doesn't let me do that right now. So this is the thing. My circle is, even if people disagree with me, Nick, Umar, Nick thinks Joe Biden's doing a good job. Like, we literally argued about it, about why he said that there's no way Trump should win and everything. We talked about it a few days ago. Point is, that's irrelevant. But the point is that I can talk to all of these people. We can go back and forth because at our core, we still hold the values of 15, 20 years ago, where you can mock your friends. You can be sarcastic with friends. You can mock their appearance. You can mock their beliefs. You can mock the girl that they've slept with. Like, it's fine, like, to do it because that's how men used to be. These people now, these alternative people, they're not men. Men don't get offended by shit. Real men are not offended by anything. Like that's what I firmly believe. And perhaps now WWE are catering more to these people who are not real men, which is stupid because the whole product is the people that are the most marketable and have always been the biggest ticket sellers, merchandise sellers, the biggest stars, have been the ones that most closely resemble real men. If you look at Austin, Hogan, whoever, they're supposed, like, we haven't seen massive success for. Let me think of somebody. Shawn Michaels as a babyface wasn't massively successful.
Not until later in years, yeah.
No, but and I'm trying to think of somebody really that appeals to these marks, these super sensitive people who's actually gone and made it, but no one really sticks out because there's no examples of somebody super soft who I would say Hangman Page over AEW, the way he tweets, the way he acts, the way I perceive him to be.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
For me, I think he would be the softest top star that we've seen.
Yeah, I'm trying to think anybody who's, because we don't know like their character. They're staying in a character half the time, so knowing who they are off, camera.
Punk with that sign was painful because that was the closest sign to softness and wokeness that he'd been, and it was a big leap from who he had been before to go from the pipe bomb to holding up that sign and going along with such a stupid political agenda was sad to see. But that was the main reason for that. No, I can't think of anybody who's super woke and super political who's actually been successful in the wrestling business. Trying to think of someone.
No, it's very hard to find, but I find them to be like, when you say, the ones that are successful, the real man, I think they're like fucking normal. I don't even say like, oh, look, he's, a real man. I'm like, he just act fucking normal to me. But I don't find anybody acting like not.
If anybody was 50, it was John Cena. But that showed because you still had the men, the real men, booing. And that was the thing. That was the divide where you had the men in the audience versus the new fans or even kids and mums maybe who went the other way with it. I can't pinpoint when these crybaby fans came in. The Cody crybabies.
I can't either. I can't say when exactly, like, it fucking hit.
But to your point, what's interesting, when you say this could be the majority, do you feel that a majority of people who go to WWE wanted Cody and The Rock swapped over? So
I do think the majority did.
Do Cody crybabies outweigh people who support The Rock in reality?
Oh, well, here's the reality. Are we talking reality in wrestling, or are we talking about reality in the earth?
We're talking about reality in terms of the wrestler, in terms of WWE's consumer.
I think it's Cody. I think
For the consumer, right?
yes, the consumer of wrestling, because Rock is not around. Rock is from our day, and
When you
those
say
watchers are gone.
when you're looking at consumption, are you looking at those who watch the show on a week-to-week basis, or are you talking about hand in pocket?
I would say it's both, actually, because I think even the ones that are watching each week and like the, super nerd, or if you want to say woke about it or whatever, I think they're buying merchant. I think they're buying shirts. I think they are buying that kind of a stuff. I think they would buy little trinkets. I think they would buy the action figures. I think they would collect the action figures. I don't think they're like broke people who can't, because the ones that are at the show that are cheering and making crazy noise and everything for Cody are there. So they did buy the tickets and they will buy the merchandise. I just think Rock is from our time. I think the people from Attitude Era that used to watch, other than us two, are gone for the most part. I think the majority is gone from them. So it's a whole new crop of people. And I think those are the ones that are more so Cody than there would be Rock. I do understand where that comes from, because there was a storyline, at least for a long time. And to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to now throw Rock there. I could understand where you'd be like, we've been watching this for a storyline, and all of a sudden, what the fuck? Why did he win the Rumble then? There's a lot of that I get.
But do you have any a company that's now tied together with UFC, which is run by someone like Dana White, who says what the fuck he wants? When you look at the fact that UFC allowed Dana White to run the company freely, do you have any hope when you see the crossovers of Michael Chandler on Raw?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it, but
I didn't like it. Okay. I think it's a very different audience. I don't think majority. I don't even think it's like a close that wrestling fans are UFC fans. I don't think they're that close.
You don't think they'll succeed in bringing him in? Because if you look at that video package between Cody and Drew, done by the new ESPN guy that replaced Kevin Dunn, who they headhunted, and just if you look at different things throughout the show, like Pat McAfee going back to the Illustrator and all the new things that they're trying, it does look like TKO have now got their fingerprints on it. It does look like they want to have a more of a sports feel. It does look like they want to cross over with UFC. And if you see John Jones, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, these people popping up on pay-per-view and TV, like, is that going to help to drown out these pussies, or are these pussies going to cry and UFC are instead going to realize, what the fuck did we buy? They don't want any of this cool shit.
I think they're going to cry. I think if anything is shoved down somebody, they're going to be bothered by it. I think if it's reversed, and I think we're seeing WWE guys at UFC, I think it's going to be just as bad. I think the people that are hardcore UFC are going to go, get these fake fucking shit off my fucking TV.
So if you had somebody like a Kevin Owens, doing the losing to Conor McGregor at WrestleMania, they would be crying about the result. They would be like, why this is terrible treatment of KO. And
you will have that, of course, but I don't think that would be majority.
They'll boo McGregor and what?
See, there's certain guys that are very, very well known where they have transcended it. Like, everyone knows McGregor. I could tell you like 3 people from UFC, and it's mostly the olders, so I wouldn't know them, but there are certain ones that go past, and you would go, I would watch a storyline with McGregor in here because I know him. I know about the cocking. I've seen him. And the same with like Ronda. I knew her. Otherwise, if you are bringing me like the guy who was on Raw, you just said his name. I still don't know it. If he's out there, they would have to, and WWE does it the best. It's not AEW, because he would just show up and be like, oh, I'm supposed to care. They would make something to where you would care. They would show him fighting. They would show vignettes. He would get into talking in the ring. He would then be talking to people in the back. It would be getting into your brain eventually and growing. They wouldn't be able to just go, and he's fighting Owens next week. You go, what the fuck is this? That's the difference.
So, do you feel that at any point this audience would be willing now to accept Logan Paul winning the world title?
Yes. He's proved himself. He's fucking phenomenal. He's not if he was a fucking disaster, you'd get the fuck away from me. He's fucking like great.
But you're saying proved himself, so you think proved himself to the people who give 5 stars for wrestling matches?
Anyone who watches, from those 5-star people to us people. I don't consider myself a 5-star person. Like, oh, let me judge this match. I know what I see. And I say, because at first I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, fuck, man. I don't give a shit about this guy. When it's same as in football, somebody come and you see them fucking working and you see them caring and then you see them actually being good at it. You go, I fucking love the guy. He's not doing anything fucking wrong. He's respecting what you love at the same time because you love fucking wrestling. And you're like, he's not coming here to just get a fucking check and half-ass it and who gives a fuck and, just go through the fucking motions. The motherfucker wants to be good at it. And he is. When he had those matches, until the one on TV, that one was the worst one he's ever had. The other fucking matches were like, Jesus Christ, him against Roman was fucking unreal. And it was like, what the fuck? How'd this guy just he picked it up. The motherfucker's an athlete and he has a talent for it. And you're getting to know him. He has done character stuff. He's been there. He needs a little work on being a heel, which I think, because, he's still slapping hands with anybody who likes him. It's like, that's a little weird. But his skill set is fucking phenomenal.
All right.
We should be out of here.
Huh?
We're out of here?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. We've been here for a while. So join us. You got to go check us out on all the places that you get podcasts. You could go to dirtysheets.com and sign up over there. You will see if you have an Android, that's the best place for you because we will have podcasts over there that are Android compatible. And they would also be Apple compatible over there too. Or if you want the convenience of just being on Apple, if that's where you get your podcast from, you just search the Dirty Sheets and you will find us and it'll say subscriber only. Boom. On your phone, you could do that and jump on it from there. Billy will have different Billy shows along week here and there. Whenever he decides to pop on, they will be on this YouTube. So check those out, of course, as always. Otherwise, you want to see my nonsense that I do, you could type in Wrestle Lingus Show. You will be able to hear my weekly shows about wrestling, AEW and WWE, 2 different shows. I will be doing a post, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a review of Elimination Chamber after that's well over because I'm not going to be watching it fucking live. And you can go patreon.com/Lingus Mafia for that. Billy does a lot of betting. And he's fucking rolling, steamrolling along. There's plenty of people that beg to be on his service, but he says, no, I won't let you in this group. And he shuns them away. And it's mostly because they want to be friends with Vince McMahon. And he doesn't agree with that, so he keeps them out. That is at lockbetting.com, and that part's not true. Is there anything else, Billy, other than at lockbettingx on Twitter, as well as Dirty Sheets X on Twitter? And what else is there? Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. I'll be doing something on here in the week. So I may review Elimination Chamber after it's done. But I'll definitely be doing a show that I mentioned on the podcast looking at previous WrestleManias that were heavily changed. Obviously, we're going through one now where they're still finalizing stuff because of Punk's injury and Rock being in and Rock being out, and now Rock doing something else. But we're going to look back at how this isn't that different. Obviously, WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. Sometimes you don't like what you have because you want it to be perfect, and sometimes you try and make it too perfect, and it just ends up being a mess. There have been examples of Mania, whether it be forced through injury or whatnot. WrestleMania 32 was plagued by injury crises, or WrestleMania 27, where you had Undertaker against Wade Barrett, and they just decided that there wasn't good enough, and they changed the whole thing. So yeah, it's not uncommon, and we run through. I'm not going to run through all those examples I just mentioned. I'm going to run through some of the more prominent ones, and sort of bring people not up to speed, because you probably know, but just remind people, I think, of how WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania, is not always clean cut and well planned, and there's sometimes it's been changed multiple times, and to the point where you just get a card that's unrecognizable from what you drafted coming into the start of the year. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
All right, kids, look for us in all those places. We appreciate you watching. Come back. We'll be back. Have a good one. Later.